Be the change that you wanna see. You can be anything that you wanna be. If you don't know the answer, then ask for help. And when you got some time, help somebody else. Be the change that you wanna see.
We're pleased to be a part of this special W.K. Kellogg Foundation 75th Anniversary Expert in Residence Series. The purpose of the Expert in Residence program is to provide people the use of the knowledge gained from these experts that break down barriers that stand in the way of a better life for everyone. We'd like to thank again the W.K. Kellogg Foundation for 75 years of continued community support. I thank you all for coming. We do have an apology to make to you. Our planned presenter, Mr. Santana, could not be with us this evening. But here to deliver a very important message, and please, with a very warm Battle Creek welcome, is Senor Chocolate.
I was kicking back over there, and I was seeing all you come in, and my heart started skipping beats, and I started to think, oh man, I gotta say something. What can I say, right? And I was thinking, you know, I'm supposed to come up here and tell you my story, and I'm supposed to come up here and, you know, help you understand what's going on. And you know, I gotta tell you, man, I'm kind of, I'm amazed, you know. Because, you know, you didn't have to be here tonight, you know. You didn't have to take time out your busy schedule, you know, come up, you know, over here and listen to someone like me give you some information that maybe you can or cannot use in your life. You didn't have to be here, man. You could have stayed home, you know, ate your dinners, watch your TV programs, Scooby-Doo, I Dream of Jeannie, whatever you guys watch, you know, and just left it at that. But as I was watching some of you come in, you know, and as I was thinking to myself what I could say, and as I was starting to feel nerve and started to think about, you know, wow, you know, I ain't never had anybody in my life, you know, step up for me. You know, I never had anybody, you know, come out here and you know, try to be there for me. And it's not like I've had a good life. You see, I ain't got no parents. My mama, she died when I was 3 months old. And my daddy, well, I ain't never met him because he walked out before I was born. So I am what you call a product of the system. My parents, the juvenile justice system, and the welfare system. And I got to tell you, I hated it. I hated everything about it. I hated how, like, the people from the welfare, they would come into my life, they would push me from foster home to foster home, and they would tell me stuff like, this is going to be good for you. But they never asked me what I wanted. They never asked me what was going on inside of me. They made me feel like I was some kind of piece of paper, some kind of file, some kind of number, like I didn't have no life, you know what I'm saying? And then growing up poor, never having any money, having to go down to like the secondhand stores to buy my clothes. And you know, I got to tell you, man, when you come from where I come from, you do what you got to do. I'll go down, I'll buy me the clothes, I'll be all right. But sometimes some of the other kids, the kids who got the money, used to like to put me down, used to like to make fun of me, used to like to make me feel like I was nobody, like I was nothing because I couldn't sport some of the things they'd be sporting, or I couldn't do some of the things they'd be doing, like they were better than me because they had money. And then going to school. And you know, I don't know about anybody else, but for me, going to school was a good thing. You see, I grew up in a house, heroin addicts, you know, and so like for me, I could get away from that stuff. You know, I could take a time out. You know, I mean, why not go to school? Oh, my homeboys are there. All the girls are there. I can always find some food, you know, I can always find something to eat. But you want to know what happens to me as soon as I be walking into one of your schools? Some teacher be coming up to me talking about, take out the bandana, take out them glasses. You are inappropriate. I'm inappropriate. People, do you know I spend time getting ready to go to school? I mean, I get up so I can shine my shoes, so I can iron my pants. I mean, I got to do this because I got to look as good as I possibly can before I hit the streets. I'm looking at the way some of you guys are dressing, and I'm thinking, man, you can take some lessons from me. And if I feel good about the way I look, if I feel good about the way I dress, and a teacher be coming up to me, humiliating me in front of all of my friends, what you think I'm going to do? How you think I'm going to act? What you think I'm going to say? You guys can read between the lines, right? And then you know what happens to me? I get kicked out the class talking about I got an attitude problem. Well, how would you act if somebody humiliated you in front of your peers? What would you say? What would you do? All right, ain't no thing. I can go down to the principal's office. It ain't like I ain't never been there before in my life anyhow, right? Never mind. So there I go, and I walk into the principal's office. Now, do we have any principals here today? Raise your... I would have never raised my hand, but since you did, you know, I walked into your office. You know, you come in, tell me, what seems to be the problem, son? And so I think to myself, all right, you asked the question. Teacher doesn't like me. Teacher doesn't like who I am. Teacher doesn't like the way I look. Teacher doesn't like the way I dress. Teacher doesn't like me. And I start to get into my story because, you know, you asked. And as I'm starting to break off this information about what I went through, I get stopped. Hold up. Principal reaches into the drawer, pulls out this sheet of paper, opens it up, says to me, you know what, son? We got these dress codes here, and you don't fit them. And right there, I start to think, here goes another adult figure who asks the question, doesn't want to hear the answer. Another adult individual who says they want to hear what I got to say, but really doesn't want to hear my voice. And I get angry. Excuse me, Mrs. Principal. You want to take me down to your JCPenney's or to your Macy's and buy me some brand new clothes or what? I got to tell you, that's not a smart thing to say to a principal. Because she reached into another drawer, pulled out a different kind of paper, put my name on it, handed it to me, and told me, son, you do got an attitude problem. Don't come back to school until you come back with your parent. Don't come back to school until you come back with your parents. Well, I ain't got no parents. So what am I supposed to do? So there I go, walking up to school, angry at this teacher who disrespected me in front of all of my friends, hurt by this principal who could not take the time to get to know one of her students. And as I'm walking down the street thinking how I'm going to get out this situation so I don't get sent to another home, guess who stops me? Do we have any police officers in the audience? Where are you at so I could feel safe? That's an inside joke. Gets out the car, you know, puts me up against the car, goes through my stuff, turns me around, looks at me and says, "Why aren't you in school, boy?" Well, when I go to school, I get kicked out of school for being in the school. Then when I leave the school, I get stopped by the cops for not being in school. So where am I supposed to be? And then people wonder why I'm so angry, why I'm so confused, why I act the way I do. And if you think that this doesn't happen, it happened to me. It happened to me. So as I go through my presentation and as I try to give you some information that you might be able to use, there is a question that I need answered, a question that I have been asking all of my life. I want to know what you're going to do for me. What are you going to do for me? Are you going to help me? Are you going to provide me with something that could change my life? And how are you going to do that? How are you going to provide me with that something is if as soon as I be walking out the door, somebody want to judge me. Somebody want to put me down. Somebody want to make me feel like I don't belong, like there's nothing good in my life that I could use, nothing good that I could take with me, nothing good that I could apply to this country, to this place. How are you going to help me? Because I need it. I need it more than ever before. But maybe before we can get into how you're going to help me, we need to find out what you know about me. So I want to ask you a question. As a matter of fact, I want to ask you a couple of questions. So if you got a piece of paper and a pencil, pull out your pencil and paper. I have a test. Question number 1. In the state of Michigan, who joins gangs? That's the first question I want you to answer. Okay? Who joins gangs? Now, if you guys are, really advanced students and you can memorize my questions and answer them as we go through one at a time, hey, cool. I'm down with that. I can take that for credit. If you can't, start writing out your answers, right? Question number 2. Why are they joining gangs? Okay, first one, who? Second one, why? All right. Question number 3. Multiple choice question, okay? A, B, C. All right? Who is at fault? The parent? The schools? Or the kid, the child? Who is at fault? Multiple choice, pick one of them, okay? The last question, easiest one of them all. What is the solution? Yeah, I hear you. What's the solution? All right? All right, who wants to answer question number 1? Go ahead. Yes. Who? Young people? Okay, anybody else? People want to belong? Okay, anybody else? Who? Disenfranchised people? Okay. I'll explain that later. Go ahead. Young teenagers. Go ahead. Lonely people. Okay, lonely people. All right. Now, the reason why I ask who joins gangs is because sometimes we could walk through these communities and we could think that maybe we don't have such problems. Maybe we don't even have any gang members. And of course, if I were to start to get into the whole definition of a gang, we can come up with all kinds of answers, right? Some would say, well, it's a group of people who join the gangs or are committed to a common purpose to create and commit criminal activities. Some would say it's a group of people who are loyal to one another and are there in support and encouragement and whatever, right? Some could come up with other reasons. Bottom line is, we have children in our community that are joining gangs. We have them joining gangs for whatever reason, but they're joining the gangs. And it is time as a community that we stand up and become aware of this occurrence so that we can arm ourselves with the knowledge necessary to intervene to help our children who feel they have to join gangs. Because it's happening. And it's happening at all levels. And if we can start to become aware of it, then we set ourselves up to be preventers, you know, to be the people who could prevent it from happening. And I say this to you because I was born into it, you know. My uncle, he got out of prison and he became the man of my life, and he was going to teach me that this is a part of my life. So I never had a choice. I never thought about it. That's just who I was and what I was going to do. And so I started to engage in this activity, and I was being told certain things about being in the gang. And you know, the craziness about it is that you can get told something over and over and over again, and it don't matter if it's right. It don't matter if it's wrong. If you get told it over and over again, you start to believe it. And because I was being told that in order for me to be down, in order for me to be a part of this gang, I was supposed to engage in certain activities, I was getting caught up. And I was losing hope. I was losing faith. I didn't believe anybody cared. And I was ready for my life to end. Now, I was one of the who's. But if we were to really step out of the box and not look at a particular group, you would come to realize that this country was formed on a gang mentality. And if you start to ask the question why, well, you know, we do what we learn. So let's go ahead and ask that question. Why? Why do people join gangs? Tell me. Acceptance, right? Belonging. Peer pressure. You guys call it peer pressure. What do I call it? Friends. Friends. Don't you remember why you did what you did when you were young? Because of my friends. You know? By the way, I ain't really into giving solutions except for a few. And this is for sure a solution that can work for any of you. You want to save your child's life? Save their friends. Because your child will follow. That's a solution. Friends, number one reason, by the way, why I do what I do is because of my friends. Why else? So what does that mean? I'll say it in one word. So like I can, power? Can I put power down there? Power. Yeah, that's a good one. Power, yeah. What else? Control. Yeah, I like that one too. Control, yeah. What else? Safety. Safety. Well, isn't that the opposite of safety? I'm afraid, so I've got to go after safety. Safety. What else? Excuse me? Rebellion? Huh? Respect. R-E-S-P-C-T. What you gonna do for? Suck it to me, just a little bit. All right, that's good enough. Now, the reason why is because we can go all over and we can write this whole wall, all this building everywhere about why some of the reasons why our children join gangs. We could talk about it's a social economic reason. We could talk about it's where they come from. We could talk about it's a way of life, a cultural thing. We can get into all kinds of reasons. Bottom line is that they are joining gangs. And you want to know something that's scary? How many of you want to have a sense of acceptance? Raise your hand. How many of you want to feel like you belong to something? Raise your hand. How many of you want to have friends? Feel power, control, safety, rebellion? Come on, don't lie. I know some of you got it in you. Respect. How many of you have some of the same basic human needs as I? So why is it that every time when we start to talk about me, we start to talk about me as if there is nothing good inside of me? When you look at what I'm going after, it's the same thing that everybody wants. It's the same thing that everybody else wants. But in order for us to understand what these needs are, the whys, if you will, then we're going to have to get into what you know about me. So let me ask you a different question. When you think about gangs, what's the first thing that comes to your head? The first thing, okay, be honest. I heard violence over there. Well, okay, slow down, okay, because I could barely write one word at a time. Violence. Fear, danger, drugs, criminal, what? Criminals, whatever, sadness, gun. Okay, that's good enough because you guys are getting too happy with this stuff. Guns, and we can go on and on and on. Okay, now, quickly. Okay, this is what I want you to do. Look at the list and tell me, what do you see? What do you see? Negative stuff? Look at both lists. Look at the lists and tell me what you see. Words. One of them's negative and one of them's positive, right? Now, which one is negative and which one is positive? Just okay. So this is positive, right? And this is negative? Okay. What else do you see? Words. Here we go again. What else do you see? Crying out. What? Courts? What else do you see? Look at the list. That's all. Just look at the list and tell me what you see. One cancels out the other. What do you mean? Okay, good. What else? Positive and negative expectations. Okay. They're opposites, people. They're opposites. Okay? But it's the same person. They're both me. So why is it that instead of seeing the things that I long for, that everybody longs for, people stop right here? Why? You see? That's the critical question. Because all my life, that's what has been happening to me. All my life, I had people stopping and looking at the outside instead of going to the inside, judging me and saying stuff like, well, you're not going to be any good. The best thing that can happen to you is that you can get killed or you can get locked up. And as I told you in the beginning of the presentation, if you tell somebody over and over again the same thing, they learn it. I mean, there was psychological tests that had been conducted where they took two groups of kids, one group over here, another group over there. This group of kids, they gave love and attention to. This group, they didn't do anything at all. And it was proven that the group of kids that got love and attention grew better than the group that didn't get anything at all. So if you think I am no good for nothing, I am no good for nothing, I am no good for nothing, guess what, people? I'm going to learn to be no good for nothing because that is what is expected of me. But I want to be loved. I want to belong. I want to be protected. I want to be respected. I want to be held. I want friends. I want power. I want these needs. And I need you, my parents, to realize that I want these needs. Because it's through you that my life can be saved. So we can get into the whys. Ultimately, we have conflict going on, which leads us to the next question. Who is at fault? Parents. Are you a parent? I'd have been pointing the finger somewhere else. He is. Okay. Parents. Somebody got a different answer? The kids at fault? Me? Okay. The community? That wasn't an option of the multiple choice question. You know, maybe you didn't have any breakfast this morning and your ADD is kicking in and you're imagining things. I don't know. That wasn't an option. I gave you 3 options. Pick one. Huh? All of the above? Hi, Chihuahua. You stay after class, okay? Next. Schools are at fault, okay? Somebody else? The kids are at fault? Okay. How many of you think that it's the kids that are at fault? Raise your hand. Okay, not very many, just a couple. And they're all kids, except for one, of course. How many of you think it's the schools that are at fault? Raise your hand. It's the school's fault, the teachers, the principal, whatever. No? All right, well, how many of you think it's the parents that are at fault? Raise your hand. Oh, man. Wow. It starts at home? Why does it have to be all or nothing? Well, okay, I'm going to tell you why real quick, because that's a good question. The politics of today, some of the things that are going on. We got the schools pointing the fingers at the parents. We got the parents pointing the fingers at the schools. We got the kid in the middle trying to figure out what's going on. And everybody's pointing fingers, trying to figure out who is at fault and wasting energy. When the truth of it is, if we were to change the word fault to responsible, who is responsible, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I am. And then it makes it easier to make a commitment to something that needs to be committed to. We all are responsible, yes. We can say all of the above, but unfortunately, we are in a society that has to place blame. And if you want to get ahead of what society is expecting of you, then stop placing blame and start becoming responsible. Solution number 2, which leads us to the last question, the most important question of them all. What is the solution? What's the solution? Go ahead. Spend more time with the children. What else? More money. Money. What else? Love them. Love. These are solutions, right? What else? Understanding. Guidance. How do you spell that? Guidance. Okay, thanks. I got the G part. G-U what? And you know what? We can go on and on and on with this one too. Ultimately, as a community, you have to come up with your solutions. And it is obvious in your attendance tonight that you can create solutions, because you wouldn't be here if you didn't have it in your heart to want to do something to change some of the stuff that is going on. Because I assure you, as sure as I am standing here, opening myself up, sharing with you this information, there is someone just like me dying out there on the streets today. Someone like me getting caught up into the drugs, dropping out of school, running away from home. Someone like me is going through some kind of messed up situation, and it's because of that that I need for you to come together as a community to find the solution so you can save someone like me. And I tell you straight up, I'm not just Mexican, I'm not just black, I'm not just white, I'm not just a boy or a girl, I'm all of them. All of us are engaging in this activity, and with your help and your commitment, we can do something to change it. But in order to change it, that means you got to understand the perceptions that are out there, the things that are preventing me and you from seeing what and how you can connect. And the thing about perceptions, we get taught them all the time. At school, at home, by the TV, the newspapers, and they play out. They get us to act certain ways or do certain things. That's just a part of society in a whole. Matter of fact, in 1989, Time magazine put out an article that dealt specifically with what I'm talking about. They put out 135,000 copies across America, and out of that, 127,000 people gave their opinion, and they asked a simple question. They asked, when you perceive, when you think about these people, what do you believe? They started first with Asians. What do you think the survey said? When you think about Asians, what do you think? Smart. What else? Hardworking. Polite. Family-oriented. Nail shops. What else? All right, here we go. Number one answer in America. Survey says. I saw that from TV. Get it? Surveys. Never mind. Hardworking. Number one answer. Number two answer when you think about Asians, that Asians can't drive. So if you go down the road and there's an Asian couple up behind you, pull over. Because they can't drive. The last answer when you think about Asians, that Asians are frugal. Then they went from Asians to African Americans. Do we have any African Americans here today? Okay. Don't get excited. Let's talk about the African Americans. What do you think the survey said? Tell me. Talented. They can dance. They got rhythm. Intelligent. Athletic. Tall. Soul food. They're funny. Okay? They're loud. Okay? All right, here we go. Number one answer. Violent. Athletic. Hey, hooked on phonics. I am. Talented. They can sing, they can dance, they got rhythm. Then they went to my favorite group, Latino. So let's talk about the Latinos. And you better be nice. Lazy? What else? Good food? Chulupas. Family oriented? Short. Look at you talking about short. Good looking. Charming. Irresistible. Tall. I try. All right, here we go. Number one answer in America when you think about Latinos. Lazy. Number two, can't speak inglés. They're aliens. They come from Jupiter, Venus, Mars. They got to carry these cards to be here legally. And if they don't do what we want them to do, if they don't act the way we want them to act, we'll just send them back to where they come from. California, Arizona, Texas, New Mexico, Colorado, Texas. I am not the illegal alien, pilgrim. I was here. You're the one that got lost. Know the history before you point fingers. Ignorant. Then they went to our favorite group, Caucasians. Do we have any Caucasians here today? Good, because now we're going to talk about you. What do you think the survey said? They can't dance, huh? They're like, yo, hey, yo. What else? They can't jump either. Okay, what else? What? Annoying? Okay, what else? Educated? Good. What else? Arrogant? Okay, what else? Rich? Okay, what else? Okay, here we go. Number one answer in America when you think about Caucasians. Survey says educated. Number two answer, attractive. Last answer, capitalistic, whatever. El patron, people who got money, people got power, people in charge. How many of you think that this stuff is true? Raise your hand if you think this stuff is true. All right? This, yeah. How many of you think that this stuff is a lie? Raise your hand if you think this stuff is a lie, that it's not true. All right. Well, you know, I go across the country. And, you know, we're looking at, I go across the country and I do all this survey, all kinds of places. And, you know, you got to excuse me for jumping around a little bit, but I'm trying to compact a whole bunch of information to arm you. So as you go out and you continue in this process of creating support and encouragement for our children, you know, that you can have some things that maybe you can relate to or not relate to, but you have it. You know, so I apologize if I am cramming stuff in because I'm throwing a lot at you and I know this. But what scares me more than anything is that no matter where I go or who I'm talking to, you know the answers. You know the answers. You said this. You laughed about it, you joked about it, and I know this ain't nothing compared to some of the things that maybe you thought and didn't say. Straight up, it's prejudice. And in order for you to authentically, to really be in a position of helping someone like me, you have to be able to admit how this stuff affects you. Because it does in one way or another. And as soon as you are able to admit how it affects you, then you can change that stuff. So when you come to me, I don't feel worse after you're done. So when you come to me, I know that you are working on you, and it helps me see an example so I can work on me. So when you come to me, you are in a better position of connecting based on the human needs that we talked about earlier. So what are you going to do? Because the greatest power that you have in change is the power inside of you. So what are you going to do? You see, this is what scholars call a process of dehumanization. Now, what does it mean to be dehumanized? It means that you can look at, see, and believe somebody to be less than human. Then it's okay they're dropping out of school. It's okay they're getting locked up and sent to prison. It's okay they're not making it in their life. It's okay. Why? Because they're less than human and they don't deserve anybody's respect. They don't deserve a chance. And coming from where I come from, I know what it feels like to be dehumanized because that's what I felt all my life. All my life, I felt as if I was less than. And because I felt that way, I was willing to destroy myself. Why else you think I would be flashing these colors looking for somebody who's going to hurt me or me hurt if I didn't have this dehumanization process inside of me? And it's got to change. It's got to change. And the first step at creating that change is admitting how some of this stuff affects you and affects me. Because as sure as you are dealing with it, you know I am. And I need you to work on it. Because without you, I'm truly lost. Without you, I have no hope. Without you, there is no future for someone like me. You see, all my life I walked around with this pattern, this tendency, and I was destroying myself slowly but surely because I thought that that's what I was supposed to do. I got hooked up in drugs and I lost a lot of my life because of it. I engaged in violent, destructive behavior. All my life, I thought that that was normal. I thought that that was the thing I was supposed to do. I did not know that there was an alternative, that there was something else. And it took somebody like you to save my life. It took someone like you to reach out and grab a hold of someone like me. It took someone like you to put aside their own prejudices, their own biases, get to know me for what was inside instead of stopping at the outside. And for me, that somebody was a teacher. A teacher, man. And you know how she connected to me? She asked me about something that I could relate to. She asked me about my music. And you know where I come from, all I ever used to listen to were oldie but goodies. So when she asked me, man, I felt like I knew what was what. And I started to break her off all this knowledge. James Brown, Little Anthony, Diana Ross, Marvin Gaye. You know what I'm thinking about. And so when I started to share this experience with her, she looked at me, she said, wow, I didn't know you knew so much about the music. Man, that's interesting. I got an idea. What do you think? If you come over to my house, bring your music, then I'll be able to record it on my stereo system, then I'll be able to enjoy the music that you enjoy. And I remember when this teacher asked me to go to her house, the first thing that came to my head was, she must be smoking some good stuff. Because she got to be crazy to invite someone like me to her house, right? Don't she know who I am? But you know, I got to be honest. I had a lot of well-to-do people come into my life, make all kinds of promises, don't follow through. I had that happen to me so many times that I was just like, I saw her and I thought that she was going to do the same thing. So my walls kicked up and I said, nuh-uh, I'm not interested. I don't think so. But you know what? That teacher, she had kids of her own, and she realized that I was putting up these boundaries, these walls. She realized that I was like rejecting, pushing out the goodness that she was offering. So she figured out another way to connect. She said, well, what about if I invite one of your... You're learning. Hey, I give myself an A for awesome, for excellent. Excellent, right? Well, that's acceptance, whatever. And you know, when she asked me that, I thought, okay, that sounds cool, because you know where I come from. There's safety in numbers, right? Never mind. That's a gang thing. So I picked the hardest. I picked the downest. I picked the meanest homeboy that I could think of, because I figured if she would have asked him, he would say no. She went and asked, and damn, he said yes. Now, I don't got a whole lot of things. I ain't got no materialistic things, you know, stuff like that. But you know what? I got my word. And if I respect you and I give you my word, I won't compromise that for nobody. So there I go, walking down the street with this stack of 45s, going to listen to oldie but... Oh, I'm sorry. 8-track tapes? Don't say yes, you're dating yourself. I don't even make those anymore. And I remember when I first walked into my teacher's house, you know the first thing that happened to me? Blam, brand new VCR over there. Color television said, stereo system. Jackpot. What could I say, man? Old habits, they die hard. I cased the place. But you know what? That teacher let me in. She didn't have to. She became vulnerable. She didn't need to do that. I mean, we sat at our couch and we played the music. We listened to the music and the words. We talked about the meaning behind the words, man. She invited me over for dinner. I remember kicking it with her 2 kids and her husband. She served these bell peppers with meat inside of it. I just ate the meat, of course, right? But I was there. My homeboy didn't show up, but I was there. And you know, because that teacher understood the importance of connecting to the basic human needs, that teacher became my teacher. That teacher became my parent. And I would do anything for her. Anything. And as she asked and she challenged me, even though I was caught up into little whoop-de-whoop situations that got me, you know, sometimes in dangerous situations, man, when she called me, I was there, and she had an opportunity to fill my ear and my thoughts with faith and hope and love. And you know what? That was enough. Because the more she did that, the more I started to believe that there was something good inside of me that I could use to move in my life. The more she did that, I started to believe that I could change. And change isn't an easy thing, especially if you get caught up into this is how it is, this is how it is, this is how it is. To move away from that takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of strength. But if that's what you need to see in order to understand my message, I ain't afraid to show you. I ain't afraid to take off my sunglasses and to look at you with my eyes. And I don't wear these because I was up drinking and drugging, woke up with the hangover, don't want you to see my bloodshot eye. I'm clean and sober to the day, man. I got 13 years. I don't drink. I don't do drugs. I don't need drugs to have a good time. Which is a hell of a lot more than some of you can say. Alcohol is a drug. Don't be confused. And if you do it, don't tell me not to. Be an example, not a hypocrite. That's my political statement number 2. And since I'm in charge, deal with it. And I had to learn about this rag. And you know, this rag, it ain't nothing but a symbol. And you know, I don't know what kind of symbols you have out here in Michigan. All I know is that where I was coming from, I was being told that I was supposed to kill for something like this. That I was supposed to die for something like this. And I believed it. And it only cost $1. You see, I didn't think my life worth $1. I didn't think my life worth anything. So why not destroy myself? Who cares? Well, you know, it's quite obvious by the number of people that showed up tonight that there are some people who do care. Because you took time out your busy schedule to come out here to hear some information that might make a difference in your life and the lives of the students and children that you are surrounded with. It's quite obvious that there are some people who do have enough love, faith, and hope inside of them. Otherwise, you would not be here. There are people who do care. And when that teacher came into my life and she started to show me more about who I am, what I'm about, and how I can move forward, I started to believe that I was worth more than $1. I started to believe I was worth millions of dollars. And I'm not afraid to show you if that's what it takes for you to... Ooh, look at, they got big old smiles over there, boy. Excuse me. Psych. Don't worry, I'm not butt naked. They don't pay me enough to get butt naked. And I started to change. And with the help of that teacher and teachers like her, parents and parents like her, community members and community members like her, I managed to do things that I never thought possible. You see, I graduated from high school even when I wasn't supposed to. And I went on to college even when I wasn't supposed to. Now, don't get me wrong, I was no straight A student in high school. I graduated with a 2.1 GPA. I barely made it. But I finished. I finished. And when you come from the places that I come from and you manage to do something like finish, people, they trip out. They think like it's a miracle. They want to all of a sudden spread the feeling, and they come up to me and they told me, hey, what do you think about going to college? Because I wasn't going to go. I didn't think I was smart enough. I didn't think I was good enough. I didn't think I was rich enough. Bottom line, I was scared. And it took a loving, caring parent like yourself to give me the hope, the encouragement, the love, the support. It took a loving, caring parent like yourself to show me that it was okay to be afraid and that I could still do it anyway. And I went to college even when I wasn't supposed. And you know what I found out? When I got there at that university, they were more afraid of me than I was of them. I ain't lying. I would be walking down the middle of campus and they would walk all the way around me. The ladies, they would hold on tighter to their purses. You know what I'm saying? It felt good. I put my name on the wall, chocolate Ike, and I went to college. Even when I wasn't supposed to. But you know, for someone like me, the realities of life have a tendency of following. And I remember in my first year of college, the cops came up to me and wanted to search me. And I remember when they came up to me, I remember telling them, on what grounds? Because I used to like to watch Perry Mason, right? And they said that they got a phone call from a professor claiming that a student who happened to fit my description wanted to shoot him if they didn't get an A in the class. Now, I don't know about you, but for me, little light bulb went off in my head. Shoot a professor? Get an A? I can do that. But you see, sometimes the ignorance of even those who are out there trying to provide the service can take over. And those cops, all they saw was the way I was dressed and figured that I did not belong there. And so their excuse was to come up to me and go through my stuff to make them feel secure about themselves. They didn't know anything about me. They didn't know that in my first semester, I was already getting straight A's. I was already blowing away the professors with my pencil. I mean, I remember being invited with all the other 4.0 students to the president of the university's house, you know. I was kicking back, looking at all the beautiful paintings on the wall. They watched me closely, but I was there. And it was on that day that I come to realize that as long as I continued to dress the way I was dressed, I was going to continue to set myself up to be harassed. So that means I was going to have to do something. That means I was going to have to make a change. Now, I understand that when you go for a job interview, you're supposed to dress a certain way. Those are the rules, right? And I understand that we got these rules in our society that dictate how people are supposed to and not supposed to be. I understand that, but you know what? I also think that some of the rules favor certain people. And I think that's unfair. And you know what? If I am going to change those rules, then I got to be willing to play the game. I got to be willing to put on the shirt and tie so I can change the rules so everybody can benefit. Otherwise, I'm getting played by the rules. So I remember spending 2 hours in front of the mirror trying to figure out how to tie the stupid thing. For reals, I ain't never wore ties before. But when I got done, I looked at myself and I remember thinking, man, I look good. And I graduated from that university even when I wasn't supposed to. You see, my name is Richard Santana. I'm a graduate of California State University, Fresno. I have my BA degree and I became something that I hated most. I became a teacher. Yeah, I wish I could wake up every morning and talk about, yay, I'm a teacher. That's the teacher joke for all of you who are teachers, right? Now, I can stop right here and I can say, I made it. And I could buy myself some nice things, you know, nice clothes, nice house, nice car, you know, the kind of car you put the little dog in the back window, hey, go up and down like this. Talking about, yo quiero Taco Bell. But do you know that I could still walk into places and I can still have people look down on me because of the way I look, the way I walk, the way I talk, or maybe even the color of my skin? And if it's happening even after I have been able to achieve so much, then I know it's happening to my children. And it's because of that that I have to be a parent just like you, loving, caring, hopeful, so that I can support my children when they are faced with some of the madness that society dishes out, so that they are prepared to face life in a positive way, because it is possible for change to occur. And it is because of that that I got to break down the barriers that prevent our children from believing in the potentials and the possibilities. And it's because of that that I got to continue to fight. And most recently, I did something I never thought possible in my life. You see, this homeboy who was strung out on the drugs, caught up into the hate, caught up into the violence, this homeboy, with the help of individuals just like you, managed to graduate with his master's degree from Harvard University. And I wasn't supposed to. I wasn't supposed to. But because the loving, caring, nurturing parents, teachers, administrators, community members in my life, I managed to achieve these things. And if I could do it, can you imagine the places your children can go?
I came tonight for my two boys so they could get a message to go home, to go on with their life, to help better guide them. And actually I found out, I believe the message was most for me, that I took the most out of it, and that I would like to be their guide in life that they can turn to. And also it showed me to go on with my life and not just be happy where I'm at, to strive for higher and better things.
You never know who's going to be the Harvard graduate. You just don't know. You know, because if you were to ask me 20 years ago if that was a place that I would find myself, I could have never honestly said to you, oh yeah, I'm going to Harvard. But now that I've graduated from there and realizing something as powerful and as beautiful as you know, attaining a degree from this very prestigious university, who knew? So to the students, you know, that I would say to them, you know, you never know what your potentials are. And one thing's for sure is that if you shoot for the stars, you're going to land somewhere pretty good, you know. Whereas for the parents, it's a lot easier to treat your child as if they are Harvard graduates. If you treat them like that, you can't go wrong.
Be the change that you want to see. You can be anything that you want to be. If you don't know the answer, then ask for help. And when you got some time, help somebody else. Be the change that you want to see. You can be anything that you want to be. If you don't know the answer, then ask for help. Read a book, feed your mind, and educate yourself.
This song is dedicated to students, teachers, organizers, families, and to all those individuals who continue to overcome life's challenges. On behalf of Homeboy Goes to Harvard Production and Richard Santana, we ask that you stay strong and in good faith. Always remember, the change begins with you. We hope that through this song, you were able to understand that it is never too late to make a positive change.